What do you think about the intensity from your teammates out there? Was there enough in the game? Did they give enough, do you think?
What you mean? Your question of my teammates?
I can't say. I am the referee, I'm not the coach.
It looks good. He likes it. Nigel Owen's arm goes up. And Ireland have stolen the game right at the death.
Hello and welcome to the Charge Down. So today I've got Dave and Neil, and I've got myself, Rob.
How come you never let us introduce ourselves, Rob?
Okay,
This is a personal gripe of mine. Usually,
5 seconds in,
usually you go. Okay, you can edit this out.
Everything's out. Go on.
You've introduced yourselves now. So we're going to do a bit of a catch up for the last few weeks, and we're going to focus on Leinster basically. So we're going to catch up with Leinster versus Bath. We were all there in the Aviva. It's a good game, a solid win. Trying to remember most of it. The weather kind of turned in the second half.
I remember Jerry Thornley said whoever stayed to the 80th minute deserves a medal or something. It wasn't that bad. Like
It was worse than the song, Dave. You know it.
It was a bit of an over exaggeration there, Thornley. Like most of the Aviva was covered, but yeah, the conditions turned at the end. I was proud enough of the boys. Like,
Yeah, it was a very, very good first half performance that won it. Basically, the Bath couldn't slow down the ball or turn over like last week, and we profited from it. It was some very weak defending close to our line. Jamie Roberts on Jack Conan for his try. Basically just fell off attack and let him.
I also thought Rockin Nanguni, does he play on the wing for Bath? One of their Southern Hemisphere import wingers. He just did a token effort. Like it was, I think he expected Roberts to get him, and that was partially why he didn't put in full effort. But Jack Conan just sauntered through. It wasn't good enough from Bath, really.
James Lowe special getting the ball and just running over from 5 metres out.
Didn't he take the little quick tap?
Yeah.
Oh man, he's a memer, that lad is.
Ding.
He did his little okay hand symbol.
Yeah, he likes doing that.
So much character. Love that guy. Brings so much to the squad. Like you can really see.
The O'Loughlin try was excellent. The quick interplay between Sexton and Moore, and then
O'Loughlin.
Indeed, there's not too much to say about it. We fronted up.
Rory O'Loughlin, man of the match. That was a bit of a talking point. Like
on TV, he looked better than.
Did you watch it back?
I watched it again. Like he was very involved in the start. He's taking a lot of crap ball up and crashing it up.
Basically doing what Reid should be doing. That's what they brought him in to do. Like,
exactly.
And if he stepped up and did it,
he solidified the midfield defence and carried up the midfield. So exactly what he wanted from.
What would you say as for O'Loughlin? Like, what would his weaker points be? Because he's obviously not impressing people enough to break through. I know we have Henshaw there at 12, so obviously he's really hard to dislodge. But you'd think like as far as that second 12 goes, there's been quite a bit of ambiguity about it. I feel so it's there for the taking for someone. Maybe O'Loughlin could be the guy, maybe not, but he's never really consistently impressed me, like, you know.
See, the problem for O'Loughlin is, first of all, he's been injured at inopportune times, so like when he has chances to shine, he's actually injured. And second of all, like he's coming up against a back line of two Lions, like Henshaw and Ringrose are both excellent players, so he's unlikely to just get past them. But he should definitely aim for that 23 spot and slip in out of your.
Yeah, he could definitely. He could fill her all there because he's played on the wing a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, he first came in as a wing, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
But mostly being centre since he's playing. But yeah, he's been injured a bit, and he's got game time now. He's impressing, so hopefully he continues.
I always like to see a sort of a fringe player like that. Well, number one, when he got his try, you could see it. He actually gave a solid shit, and like in the Aviva, obviously you're going to be a bit more hyped up, but like he was really celebrating that try, which was great to see. But then to get man of the match as well, like it's so easy, I think, for the broadcasters or whatever, just to give it to the Sextons or the Lows of this world. Like, and we all agreed after the match that no one really stood out. It was a big team performance, like
played very well.
So to see O'Loughlin getting it, like I like to see that, you know. I think Cronin may have got a try off the back of a line out.
Yeah,
possibly. He gets a lot of tries off the back of line outs, that guy. Which it was amazing considering we question his darts sometimes. Like you think that the line out consistency that close in wouldn't necessarily be there for him to be getting so many tries off the back of a line out.
Both hookers threw very well that match, especially Tracy in the second half when it was a bit of a whirlwind at that time. We weren't just going to two. We were going down the middle line out. we didn't really throw long, but middle line out, which in weather like that gives you options. Gibson Park showed how good a rugby player he is, maybe not as good a scrum half he is. He just runs such brilliant lines, allows Lowe to create a try out of nothing.
Yeah, he definitely has an eye for a gap, that lad. He's fast as well. He seems to be there for the offloads too. Like if you watch the lines he's running, even when he doesn't always get it, but you can see he's there. He's looking for it, which I really appreciate. It's unfortunate that his sort of scrum half basics maybe aren't entirely there, like his box kicking or whatever. Because if he had that down, he'd be an absolute addition to any team.
Well, he has improved his scrum half basics until
they have improved definitely. But I'm just saying, it's a pity he's not just like 10% better in that regard, because he clearly has
the all-round game.
Yeah, the all-round game, the flair stuff. He understands the space like a Southern Hemisphere back would.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Although he has improved definitely this last season and this season. A bit of regression on the Connacht match if we want to move on to that.
Man. So the Connacht match, we were all there again. This one was a bit of a belter there towards the end. Connacht were 17 points up with I think
12 minutes.
It's about 12 minutes ago.
12 minutes to go, and Leinster somehow stole it there at the end, which was pretty special.
What was more impressive, the Ireland Johnny Sexton drop goal 40 plus phases, or the Andrew Porter? When you consider, I know it's an international match and like the opposition is clearly better, but when you look at the Leinster team, the young lads, to do that 40 plus phases and to get a score, a lot of people were complaining about Clancy, I think was the ref, and they were saying, oh sure, he could have given away 5 penalties either way, but that's not what you want to see. You don't go to a rugby match to see penalties blown up every 5 seconds.
He was giving us advantage as soon as Porter was going over.
Was he?
I don't know if you saw, he stretched his arm out for advantage and Porter went and he kept him going.
I thought Deegan had a good carry there before Porter as well. Though I thought he got over. I was like, excellent.
It was a weird match. Like Connacht played very well to them, in fairness to them.
Do you know
Cardi especially?
Cardi got man of the match. Did you see the interview after?
She shattered.
Oh my god, it was lingerie all over again. The look on his face, he looked like a man without a soul. Someone had just sucked the soul out of him. I just felt like, why are you interviewing this lad? Let
That's
him
why
go.
they don't do it at international level.
He literally had what's that, 100-yard stare thing when people come back from war.
So 1,000 yards. I think it's a centenary edition of.
I felt so bad for him. He just looked distraught.
Yeah.
But he's an Irish player, or is he American?
No, he's Irish.
Okay, yeah. So I'm thinking of McGinty, maybe. Yeah.
But when I was looking back on it, like it wasn't really a structured problem for Leinster. It was just individual errors, like Levy and Ruddock missing the great dummy thrown by Cardi. Just people missing tackles. It wasn't like
Ross Byrne when he brought that dummy runner. Remember?
Oh, in fairness, the try was scored at that stage. Like even if he.
Do you think? I don't think if he bit in on that dummy runner, he would have been in the right position.
Like the only difference would be like the try scored like a bit further out, maybe. But
maybe you're right.
Once the fullback's behind your line, with support.
No, that was Adam Byrne. I'm talking about Ross Byrne.
Oh, of course. Sorry, yes.
Adam Byrne couldn't have done much more. Like he got stepped. But
he definitely bit down on dummy line there.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
But there was a little quote I saw on the paper just after we conceded the penalty, I think it was, or else their last try. There wasn't any panic in the Leinster team, and Ed Byrne, I believe it was, or perhaps Brian Byrne, one of the Byrne front row Byrnes, said, "We're going to win this." Like so
just a random guy. This guy, I love that. But you have to look at it like this. I think there was almost an arrogance to it. I.e., we know we don't have to win this. We don't particularly care. But then to have that attitude maybe, and then to come back and win it, shows a lot of character, I think.
Yeah.
Someone obviously like the Byrne of this world just said something to the lads and got them going, but crazy stuff. Maybe Connacht took their foot off the accelerator a bit too.
Because like there's very few people in the Leinster squad assured of their spot. Like you have your Sexton, you have
I'd say Cronin's probably
Crone. But the thing is, if he starts playing poorly, he knows there's 2 people underneath him that take his place. Yeah. Like someone like Ruddock or Conan or something, they can't
have a bad game.
They're internationals and.
Well, this is a thing I noted from last week was I thought Doris had a bit of a bad game, and now maybe they're just having Deegan as the back row at this time of the year or whatever. But I see Deegan's on the bench there for this week, but Doris isn't. So I'm wondering if that's sort of like a message from last week.
It could be rewarding for him. Deegan definitely played better than Doris, although the team was on the up.
Yeah.
When Deegan came, it could be that's just like okay. Doris played 60 minutes or so. give Deegan two runs in a row.
What was the logic behind leaving Bundy a key off potentially? Because to me, he had an absolute belter of a game. Like he played ferociously.
It's perhaps like player management minutes. Like you can get a certain amount of minutes as a starter, a certain amount as a sub. Perhaps they just wanted to rotate squad a bit, or maybe he was never in danger of not playing, and they just said, okay, let's.
But so impressed was I by him that I think had he not been on from the start, the game would have been quite a bit different. I think he had that much of an impact. Like, and even I said a few weeks ago about Henshaw being ahead of Aki in my mind. After that performance, I'm thinking Aki is nailed on 12 for Ireland, because the spirit, you could see it even at the end when Porter got his try. He was fuming, like he really was frustrated, which you want to see at any game at any time. If that player's taking that field, you want to see that passion, and he clearly has it. Like maybe Henshaw might be a bit of a big game character, but if he can bring that every game for Ireland, like he has absolute every right to be starting in that 12 shift.
Every game he can. He's an excellent player.
He has that spirit.
Yeah.
I like it. And fair play to him for staying in Connacht as well. When's his contract up or whatever? Is there talks that he might be leaving? Or
He was originally... there was some doubt he's going to leave before he got capped for Ireland. And he actually sent out a tweet basically saying goodbye, and they deleted it and he signed on again. And then he sent out another tweet when Pat Lam left, because I think the assumption was Pat Lam was staying, so he'd stay. He deleted that as well. But he signed recently enough for a couple of years, but
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's only for after the World Cup or maybe a year after the World Cup.
So he's a mercenary then. I see all these New Zealand lads saying, I'm gone and all this. So I think that's terribly sad. Like,
well, actually, that's an interesting point that we could talk about for a bit. Where or what position do you think Leinster should be targeting to recruit from after the World Cup? Because, we're always looking for someone. Hooker has to be hooker for me.
Yeah, like hooker, like we have good depth there. We've got Croden, Tracy, and Byrne, and there is a young lad in the academy supposed to be
Kelleher, no?
I believe so. Yes.
How the fuck do you know about these people?
Yes. Find us on forums and Twitter accounts and stuff like that, or watching like under 20s and stuff.
Oh, right, yeah.
So you'll probably get some game time during the Six Nations or so, but like. There's none of those players are excellent players.
A part of me really wants to say, bring in a utility back like Tamani and just have them fill a role. But then, because you're looking at you don't want someone coming in and taking a key position away from an Irish lad and stumping your national team for the sake of Leinster's success. But then on the other hand, you're like, well, I also really want to see my club team succeed, so I want someone to come in at a key position,
Well, I hope we keep Fardy.
That would be a good signing.
He was 2-year contract with a 1-year extension, I believe. So I hope there are a few let us, considering he's just a great player. And failing that, I'd probably want a second row.
I don't know. I think with Maloney coming up now.
Well, see, like it's not just the.
Maybe
it's the. Like you're not gonna have much of Toner and Ryan after next season.
Yeah, Toner's sort of coming to the end of his career as well.
Not necessarily. He could play for 3 or 4 more years. It's just that.
Do you think?
In a World Cup year, you're not going to get much of them, and if you have an injury, your stocks go down very quickly. So you want to have someone like Fardy who can lead, basically like a.
What about as you say, a Fardy type character who can fill a role in the back row and in the second row? That would probably be quite useful, I would say.
Yeah, that'd be like when Fardy was signed, we're like, there's no way he's playing in the back row, but then Ireland call-ups and management and then injuries, and he actually ended up playing in the back row. So I'd say maybe hooker or second row if we lose Fardy.
I feel like utility back, but just to me that has potential to just go wrong.
Like Tamani.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Tamani still, I'll give him a chance when he comes back, but it's like Lowe came in, could have potentially ruined them as a utility back. We're going to put you in at centre every chance we get, full back, this, that and the other.
He was just winger or possibly full back, but we're very happy just playing him in one spot.
That's the thing. Player. That's kind of what you want, but then you run the risk of having someone who just doesn't settle down or whatever, Yeah,
it's not, because pretty much all our big players from Ireland are staying on, so.
Yep. Sexton signed up for after the World Cup. That's
Carney as well. Or no, Carney said he signed up to the end of the World Cup and he'll decide after. But like, do
you think Sexton can keep going?
Interesting.
I don't know. Like, it's going to come down to a point where We have Ross Byrne and possibly Joey Carberry coming back. And
I don't think Joey will come back.
Oh, you think he's Munster through and through now?
Well, like if you're getting full choice games in Munster,
He'd be convinced.
Like he has to come back to fight against Ross Byrne and Sexton and maybe Kieran Frawley. Like if he said, okay, come back, you're a full back or utility back, yeah, I could maybe see it. But like even like maybe a starting job in Munster.
Would you want to come back if they told you you're going to be a utility back? I'd be like, fuck
full
that.
back, whatever. Like
full back, yeah, maybe. But if someone told me, if I was in Carberry's position and someone told me you can go back to Leinster and be a utility back, I'd just look at what happened to Madigan and say, yeah, no thanks.
Madigan got a lot of Irish caps. He's getting paid loads in England. So.
Well, I suppose that's what you're after.
But
I suspect not everyone's after
I
that. You know,
Carberry stays where he is. Like you're going to be with Murray for the next few years at least. You're getting first choice game time. So if I was him, I'd say. I think actually, in retrospect, Leinster did the better business by keeping Byrne. I think Byrne actually suit Munster more than Carberry would.
So is that not bad for the national team then? Would you not say?
No, it's still good because Byrne's getting more game time off the bench and also starting games, and Carberry's getting a lot more game time by just being the starting 10. So it's go all around. Like, but it's bad for Leinster in that we have less players, but. Do you not
want a player to be in an environment that's playing the style of game that they are best at playing, rather than being forced to play a certain way?
It's better that he's getting game time.
Full stop. Like,
and he's still going into Irish camps and playing different style that either Leinster or Munster are playing.
I suppose if he's a good enough player all round, he'll be able to adapt on the fly. So
yeah, but to answer the question, like I don't think we need that many people.
No.
So yeah, it depends on if we lose anyone else, if we lose Farley, but yeah, we don't. We
need Kieran Reid in the background.
I wouldn't go for him, to be honest.
I wouldn't either.
He's still a good player and all that, but like.
It would just be unnecessary. Like you'd lose value. Like even just going to the matches, I'd feel sort of shortchanged if they just started buying in random fucking New Zealand players that we don't particularly need. Yeah, it's like, what are we doing? We're a good enough brand as is. Why do we need these superstars coming in and cheapening the jersey a little bit? Like, but right. Yeah.
On the Connacht match, excellent.
Yeah.
Porter is very impressive in his cameos off the bench this year. I feel he hasn't started much, but he always makes a good few tackles, always scribes his ball on the deck, and he is very powerful when he gets low.
He's got the not bench press, squat record, I think, in Leinster.
Probably bench as well.
Yeah.
He's got serious power behind him.
Yeah.
That's one thing I did note. I'm not sure if it was the Bath game or the Connacht game when he did come on, was the amount of tackles he made in like that first sort of 5 minutes. He was just hitting every fucking person available. Like, it was the energy he was showing, it was impressive. Like,
yep. And we were talking about Joey there, so I suppose we'll go on to the big one this weekend, Munster versus Leinster. This is going to be a good one, I have a feeling.
I feel it's going to be a horrible match.
I saw some Munster fans online were quite worried when they saw the team.
I think we've a very strong first team. I think our bench is a bit weaker than it usually is, relatively, although Munster's bench isn't overly stronger by the looks of it.
They should be fearing Deegan the most, Neil, and you know it. What's our bench here? Byrne, Dooley, Bent, Maloney, Deegan, O'Sullivan, Frawley, Reid. It's not going to strike the fear of God into people, but just on a personal level, I might see more Frawley. Like,
yeah,
definitely. Interesting that is Byrne injured, or has Frawley just been sort of thrown in there for experience, do you think?
Adam Byrne?
No, Ross Byrne.
I'll probably getting rested because he had started last week and then came off the bench previous. So.
And Adam Byrne, is he injured?
He possibly injured.
Possibly rested.
Although again, rotating rested. Like
he played in Bath and Connacht, so they're probably rested.
And he only covers wings, so if you're not starting him, it's a bit risky putting him on the bench.
Yeah.
He's been in good form, actually, Adam Byrne. Very good form.
Well, you called that before the Connacht match. I asked you who were you going to be watching, Rob, and you said Adam Byrne. I was like, a bit iffy. And then he just had the game of his life, and I was like, good pick, Rob. Fair play.
I think when he has the ball going forward, he's got a unique set of skills where he's just very difficult.
He will find you.
Yeah. He's very difficult to bring down. He's got the power and the pace.
Yeah, he has ability to step and offload. Like, he'll step into you tackle him, and he still gets the ball away.
Yeah, he was always getting the ball beyond the tackler, sort of like around the back, ready for an offload. Now, we weren't abusing that too much, but you could see the potential was there to just have support runners off him.
He's always a danger in the air.
Yeah. Oh, he's turned into an absolute weapon in there. When he kneed Carty in the back, that was pretty special.
Tiger knee into the back of poor Carty.
Well, he made sure Carty wasn't going to catch the ball if he didn't catch the ball.
Yeah.
So
But Cian Healy's 200th game for Leinster.
yeah, he made his debut in 2007 against Border Reavers.
That's a good test.
Against who?
The
Border
team in
Reavers.
Scotland no longer existing.
Scotland used to have 3 teams. Now they only have 2.
I think they had 4. They had Katie Reds.
Possibly, yeah.
Was that a team? Why?
These were the
Listeners, can
early
you
days.
phone in and tell us?
I feel so callow now not knowing about this Beaver team.
There's a lot of teams that started the league.
What are they? Border Beavers?
Beavers. Like Raider kind of.
They were terrible.
Was this like a sort of half English, half Scottish
No,
type
they're
setup?
just in the border region.
Yeah.
They were
If you
terrible.
look at the start of the league, there's Celtic Warriors. That was another team.
Yeah.
I think were they Welsh?
Could have been, yeah. There was like 6 Welsh teams at the
Yeah,
start.
there was more clubs than like
Yeah.
Pontypridd and Neath. They kind of merged into the teams we know today.
Jeez, I feel so inexperienced.
To be honest, I have no recollection of them whatsoever.
No.
But no Peter O'Mahony from Munster, which I feel could be very big.
Yeah, they're
He's a big game player
He
for
is.
sure. He gets fired up every fucking time.
I make sure everyone else is.
Every match there's Peter O'Mahony there. There's like 200% chance there's going to be some scuffles breaking out. He just always makes it his business to like take up a little scuffle with someone, which sometimes you need if it's a dirty game, which tomorrow, like with the weather and all that, could well be.
What is the weather forecast anyway? I didn't check it.
I'd say it's going to be horrible ground wise, but not much wind, just based on how it is out there now. But could be a different story down there. But yeah, the Munster fans don't seem too confident.
Yeah, like just still a fairly good team. Wycherley is on the at 6.
yeah.
Replacing Peter O'Mahony, and Burns at second row. I think they might switch that up come to game time, because I believe Wycherley was always a second row while Ty Burrington played.
That Byrne and Klein combo, just looking at it there, looks like it could be quite powerful. It's going up against Ryan and Toner though, so that's going to be a good battle. No, it's going up against Ryan and Fardy actually.
Tyg Byrne hasn't impressed me too much this season, I have to say.
I think he's been pretty good. It's not in a great team. Munster have been good at home, but
He's impressed me when I've seen him for Ireland the last year, but every time I see him for Munster, he's making handling errors, which I cannot ever remember
it depends.
him.
Like, I remember his first few games, it was poor. He's like over eager, but after that, he just does a lot of work, especially in the line out. He seems to manage to get his hands around the ball and just hold up the line out in the maul, as well as his work on the ground.
I think
Alright,
he's
yeah.
getting the big thing I would have known him for was the turnovers on the ground, and I don't see him getting as many as perhaps he used to. I wonder if that's a confidence
It
thing
could be
or
because he's playing in the pack, closer into the pack, where he's second row for Munster most of the time.
yeah.
While
I
Scarlets
understand.
have like some bit more freedom out in the back row.
Scarlets look a lot less having lost him.
Yeah,
I
and
have to say.
Barkley and Ian Williams and all the other players the last couple of years. It's just they're like the old Scarlets team where if everyone's fit, they're good and they can play ball, but it's just too many people missing to have consistent forward pressure.
You were mentioning Porter there. I don't know much about the scrums now, but how do you feel he is as a scrummager?
I think he's okay. But I didn't actually see him when he was first a tight scrummager, because he originally a loose head prop. He's getting absolutely killed for UCD in his first 2 games, and he's now gone from in about a year and a bit from getting killed in a club game to holding his own in some matches. So I think it's basically at his age, it's fine. He's not the most destructive scrummager. As long as he keeps improving, I'm very happy with how he is.
And do you think like Munster would have the edge in the scrum, or has that been a strong point for them this season?
Munster seem to do well against us in the scrum. They did well against Porter in the Viva. They got either a penalty try or the scrum. They scored off the.
Is that the time that Peter O'Mahony was illegally wrapping his hand around the tie of the?
Yeah, it wasn't binding to the second. No, he was
I think he's binding to the.
He's binding to the prop.
Yes.
Yeah, he shouldn't
Yes.
have binding to the second row.
That's why they're doing well. It's nothing to do with Porter. Porter's great. It's all Peter O'Mahony being a scum.
Yeah. But they should have a heavy enough pack actually with the 3 second rows essentially.
Yeah,
So it would be interesting to see how that.
there's actually a good few like battles that are going to be very interesting. Like we talked about Byrne there. This is going to be a huge game for him because with Henderson injured, this is his chance to kind of.
Yeah, I reckon he is that turn choice up, but he can maybe try force himself into the starting team. Jean Klein, I think, would be capped around as he gets available, which is after World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a very good Munster pack, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. The ref, Frank Murphy, used to be a Connacht scrum half, but he also played for Munster.
Yeah. Oh, I think
Why did they do this? It makes no sense.
He's refed Connacht before, which I think is just a bit too much. Like I think he has over.
I think he's a good ref, but
I think he has over 100 caps for Connacht. Or
he's there for a while. He was there scrum half for a good while.
Yeah, something crazy, and you shouldn't be reffing the team that you've
Yeah.
like spent the majority of your career with.
You're either going to overcompensate to not appear biased, and then you're going to be reffing it badly, or you're going to be biased and you're going to be reffing it badly. Like there's no way of doing that well. I don't think. I don't agree with having Irish refs for Irish matches in the first place, regardless of history.
Like you have other team, like there'd probably be Welsh refs in the Welsh matches. Why can't we just like spend a few €100 on the
Flights?
Yeah,
it makes no sense. I say just
or maybe
have.
it's because like okay, he's his family down there.
Yeah.
You won't be travelling too far for the match.
I say stagger all the matches such that Nigel Owens can be the ref for every single match.
Oh God.
We'll have Wednesday night matches, Thursday night matches. It'll be great.
But what are our predictions for the match?
I'm thinking it's going to be close, is what I'm thinking, because it's Munster at home. Looking at their pack, I think we have them in the back line. The packs, it's a bit closer, but I still think we're probably better off there as well. So I'm going with a close Leinster win.
I would be surprised if we lost, but I could see it happening. You know, I'm going to say maybe Leinster by 6.
Yeah, I think we have an advantage in the back row, which will get us over the line. I think we're going to have a sizable enough lead, maybe going into the last half an hour, and their replacements will give them a lot of energy. So I'd say Leinster by maybe 2 or 3 points.
Yeah.
I'd be worried, sort of, that Munster fire, sort of like the away match against Bath. They could do a number on us, maybe, sort of thing, like get fired up, get that passion, start fighting. Yeah, basically just be a dog and fight on the ground. I'd be worried about that happening, but again, I feel we've proven ourselves time and time again this season that even if like the Connacht match or the Bath away, that we have it in us in these tight affairs to just put in that extra 5% and get ahead of a difficult opposition. Like so. Yep.
Although just mention that Keane Healy has 200 caps. I see James Ryan only has 25 caps for Leinster, which is a ludicrously low number considering how established he is.
He's first choice for Ireland, first choice for Leinster straight away.
How is he just an abomination? Like how did he do it? He's just so solid. Is it a character thing, natural ability?
He's probably a bit of everything. Like they're prepared so well in the schools these days that there's no longer you have to wait for years while your body develops and you get used to the rigors of the pro game. Like you can just step in and he's just switching one routine for another. Like he's
a bit of a freak.
Yeah.
You rarely see him going backwards.
Physically, he is a freak. His measurables are ridiculous. Like
some on the I think it was Andy Dunn on the Hiding in Rugby podcast with Murray Kinsella. He says he's been watching him. And he's trying to figure out how he makes the yards. He just doesn't understand it.
He does this weird leg pump when he's just about to hit the ground. Yeah. He does this like last ditch leg pump that gets him say an extra like 3 meters sort of thing, and then he presents the ball. That's an interesting little thing I've noticed him doing. Sort of like that low thing. It's like his gimmick that he does.
But he just seems to go into contact like any other player and just power through no matter who's against him. Like he always does it around 65 minutes or so in a match. Like he's been carried all day and he just makes a big carry.
Yeah, that's hard.
Like it'll just go through someone and that sets us up for the next few minutes, and that's
getting offload,
consistently done. Not even offload, like sometimes he does the offload, but sometimes it's just a big carry, like we're going nowhere and then big carry, bam.
I think he did it a few times in the French Ireland match in the Six Nations, am I right? In that 40 phases, he sort of carried it a few times, got that extra few meters to set up the platform for Johnny to do his thing, but I suppose everyone was carrying in that 40 phases, like
even Fergus McFadden, which is probably the best winger in the country, if not the best back to bring on in that kind of situation.
I remember him hitting rucks with perfect technique and everything.
If you need a winger to crash ball up for a yard and clear a ruck straight after him, he is literally the best winger in the country for it.
We've actually missed him a good bit at Leinster.
I feel like, yeah.
Like I felt like in that Toulouse game that we lost, Fergus was like made for that kind of game. Like he just in for the dirt, and he would have. Most
people who play with him say he's the hardest trainer in the squad.
Really? I actually seen
do anything the coach says and just work really hard.
That's what you want,
Yeah.
really, isn't it? Like, no dissent, just this mindless drone.
The machine that is Leinster. So we're all unanimous in Leinster victory. Ooh,
Yeah,
humble pie tomorrow.
yeah, we could be. Well, we've only
I won't
lost
be
2
though.
games this year.
Ultimately, I just want to see a good match. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too salty if we lost, as long as it's a good match. If we lost some turgid affair where it was like 3-6 or something, then I'd be pretty salty. But if it's a good match and we lose, like, I'm always happy to watch a good game of rugby. Like,
I'm looking forward to it. I'm just looking at the team sheets. I'm like, this is probably one of the more fully loaded Leinster matches we've seen in quite a while. So I'm excited to see it go. So
And both teams are actually going at it as opposed to just warm up for Europe next week.
yeah. All right, I think we touched on a little bit there the Ireland-France game. So I think we'll do a quick roundup of because it is almost the end of 2018. We'll do our highs and lows for Leinster and Ireland. So I suppose we can start with that obvious high of that drop goal against France was.
well, one thing that I've watched it a few times since, like the look on Sexton's face, I love it.
Yeah.
He almost thought, you could see when I went
child.
over, he didn't believe after it left his boot that was going over necessarily. The disbelief on his face, sort of just the sheer wonder. Jesus, it's a magical moment, really. Like, I love watching that. I could watch that 40 phases over and over and over and over again. It's just great television. That's why we love the sport, like moments like that. Nigel Owens was the ref. I'll just point that out.
Late game drama and Nigel never.
He loves the sport. Like, that's he's sympathetic to the attacking team,
Sympathetic to the drama.
which I think is what you need. Like, I read a comment there. I was watching sorry to segue a bit here, but I was watching the highlights of the last week's Ulster Munster match, and I read a comment that said it was in relation to the high tackle that happened in the first minute, and it said everyone was arguing it should have been a red card, which it probably should have been, but it was a yellow card. And someone typed in the comments there that in life not everything happens as it should. If it did, it would be incredibly boring. And I was thinking that's obviously a great analogy for rugby, because if every penalty was blown up and everything went exactly to plan and there was no sort of ambiguity about interpretation and all that, ultimately it would be hampered by just refs interfering all the time. So you want to see these sympathetic refs that understand and let the play develop for these 40 phases where magical moments happen. Like,
Although the problem, if I recall at the time, we got penalised for lying on the not rolling away quickly enough, lying on the ball, and they did it about 4 or 5 times in the final phases. And they didn't do anything.
It takes
but the show, Neil, he understands.
Showtime.
It's a very brave ref to start blowing up penalties in that last kind of.
Yeah.
You get that French thing where the whole crowd just starts going, "Hey, hey, hey." You just hear it every time. I love it at the club matches when they get so anti. It'll be like the most obvious fucking foul ever, and they'll all be there. "Hey, hey."
Spear tackle off the ball.
Yeah, they're so biased. It's hilarious. The win against New Zealand obviously would be another.
That was my favourite game of the year, probably that or England, for just pure entertainment as well, because it was actually an excellent game. Well, the French game was awful. It was god awful.
I have no inclination to rewatch that French game at all. I actually
Just the last 5 minutes. That's
speaking of lows, I'd say that try that they scored, that was a low. Like, that felt like it was like that's another Six Nations
That's
gone.
a season.
Yeah, we screwed it up before it's even started. Like,
it's always the way when you have a tough team first game in the Six Nations and you go behind, you get that sort of banana skin mentality.
England were coming into this like 2
Red
times
hot,
winners.
yeah.
They lost their streak, but they played very well the previous Autumn National and Tour. They got 3. Was that the year in 2017 they get the 3-0 victory down in?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No, it was
2016.
Lions. It was Lions. So
okay, yeah.
But like they were just playing their normal games. But like we're thinking, okay, if we lose the first game, that's it. We have to win the next 4 to be a chance, which would be very hard. But as it transpired,
Was this year? I'm probably very wrong. It's probably been here for years. But was this year the first year they did the bonus points and stuff in the Six Nations?
I think it might have been the second.
I think.
Okay. What do you think of that? It's a good addition, or
I think it's.
It keeps the game alive. It keeps it in line with the rest of like all major tournaments and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
The only thing annoys me if like you get a team early on and you fight hard, like just fight with everything just to win. And they roll over in a couple of games later against opposition you're trying to beat or trying to chase. Like, but I think overall the bonus points will probably decide the rightful winner.
It hasn't really come into it yet. Like,
They did smart thing by giving 3 extra points for a Grand Slam winner, so you cannot lose if you win a Grand Slam.
yeah, that would be pretty stupid. So, other highs of the year? Leinster doing the
Leinster
double, I
winning double.
suppose.
James
James Ryan, for me, would be a high of the year in and of himself.
Yeah.
Just coming out of nowhere and straight
Levy as
in.
well, I suppose.
Yeah, Levy less so, but yeah.
The feeling after the Racing final was more relief than anything else.
That wasn't a great game either. That was.
We couldn't get our momentum going, and the rain and
Right.
Racing's excellent defence put heed to that. Well, that was a great win. Because I felt a few years back that we'd probably never see an Irish team win it again.
Really?
Yeah.
You felt that?
A few years back when Sexton left for big wages in France, our team was like changing coach, retiring. I just kind of felt that it was just going to be French and English teams.
Yeah, Saracens and Toulon.
I can see how you might have felt that. Remember I was telling you I got that book for Christmas, the Irish Rugby History and Pictures. It's funny because around the end of 2012, then there's only a few pages between 2012 and like 2016. I was just thinking, it says a lot, like that sort of period where not much was happening necessarily. Like, but it's great to see them back doing it. Leo Cullen, fair play to them for backing Leo Cullen.
Yeah. I think they didn't have a choice. They just had to get rid of Matt O'Connor.
Yeah, but to bring in Leo Cullen, like, it was...
It was a risk. Like, at the time, I was kind of like, I hope this isn't just jobs for the boys. And
Well, the first season, like, it wasn't great, but everyone gave him the time.
yeah, I know. But the big thing was he gave debuts to younger players, which we didn't see under O'Connor at all. Like,
And he said, in fairness to him, he said, I don't bring me in coaches, bring me in Graham Henry to learn from. This is all from him. And so he has no issue with, like Lancaster gets so much of the praise and support, but he has no issue with that as long as it helps the team.
yeah.
Do you think we could be looking at Leo for the Irish job in the future?
Perhaps, but not for the next few years. I think his skills really suit Leinster at the moment,
Yeah.
where he's day-to-day stuff, where he says, this is what I want to play, and the coaches underneath him allow him to play it. He might go into maybe like a Lucifer kind of job, but I think only you need a foreigner for that job. So you can't be saying, oh, he's doing it for Leinster, he's doing it for...
Yeah, there'd be
whatever.
accusations of left, right, and centre if it was.
Were you surprised by Andy Farrell getting the job?
I wasn't surprised. Maybe it wouldn't be my first person that comes to mind, but
He's never had a
Head coach.
head coach role before, has
he's
he?
got loads of experience coaching. The players respect him. He's an excellent defensive coach, and he's
I-
learning off.
Maybe this is just me, but I would rather have an attacking minded, like ex-attack
Well,
coach
like, if he
as
says-
head coach than a defence
If he
coach.
does like defense and head coach, you just bring in people who for attack coaches. As long as he sets up a style, saying, okay, I just want to attack.
I would hope that that's how he carries out his business. Like, I don't want him going in
Like,
there.
it could end up being like a disaster, but I don't think it will be.
And what about the clash of interests with his son?
I don't think he cares.
Do you not think he'd be throwing matches to make his son look better? No.
He didn't do that against England's match.
This is all a long con, Neil. He knew he's going to make Farrell look like the best player in the world. Just you wait and
He
see.
was in school here, I think, so maybe he's favouring him.
That could be an interesting narrative going forward.
Could be. Lowlights for Leinster, it's very little. Like, we lost like very little games. Toulouse would be maybe a low light, but it was still an excellent game that doesn't decide our season as of yet. Touch wood.
I know it's last season maybe, but Issa retiring.
Yeah, that was.
That's just a year still.
Yeah, I was sad to see him go. Like,
But he
he
went
left
off
in the
the
best possible circumstances, which he absolutely deserved every bit of that. He left and came back, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he left for a few years and then came back at the start
And
of
saved us. But
playing
yeah,
about 50 minutes in 2 finals.
he deserved every minute of it. Wouldn't take it away from him. But yeah, sad to see him go. Like, he's sort of he slotted right in and instantly won our hearts. Like, with his ways. Love the guy. Love to see him. That's the type of quality analysis you're gonna get out of me, boys.
I love that player.
He's great. The following 5 players are terrible. Like, personal vendettas against each and every one of them. For Ireland, low light probably.
We lost one game, so it's kind of tough.
It would be my game low light anyway. It was a very frustrating match losing that game against Australia in the first test.
Big low light for me would be Schmidt saying he's going.
Yeah, but see, even if these low lights, they're still
The natural
positives, like,
progression.
like we still have them to enter the World Cup, and we have a whole system in place. for the next few years after that. So it's not like it's going to be everyone retiring, everyone leaving at the same time, and like kind of like England after their 2003 World Cup where it set them back years.
A highlight of that low light for me was the fact that he said he wasn't going directly into the New Zealand job, which when I heard he was saying he would leave, like I automatically assumed he was going to go straight into New Zealand, and I was like, Jesus Christ, I do not want to see him going anywhere near them. So it'll give us a few more years to maybe be on that top level challenger in New Zealand. I think then when he goes there could be like this perfect storm of perfect coach, perfect team, shutting everyone down for a few years.
It's interesting to see what he does after a few years. Maybe he comes back here, maybe he takes a Leinster job again or something. Yeah. Maybe he goes to New Zealand job, maybe he goes for just a local club, or
isn't he on record as having said he wants the New Zealand job?
That was maybe a couple of years ago. But like when you have a few years of international work, we might burn you out.
I suppose when you think about it, if you're going into the top team, the only way to go really is down as such. So if you have a stellar career as a coach, much lauded, many like championships, medals, performances, everything, like going into New Zealand, then that's a lot of pressure. And if you don't perform, you could sully your name at the end of a great career. Like,
well, they say in politics all careers end in failure. It's similar in sports, in my opinion. Like look at someone like to use a different sport, Jose Mourinho. Like he probably the most celebrated coach in the world, perhaps maybe him or Guardiola. And now he's been hounded out of his job by his own players.
It's not a football podcast, but wasn't there stats quoted wherein he had actually a better win rate than like 3 or 4 other coaches?
The squad seemed to not want to play underneath him.
Yeah, I agree. He seems like a cantankerous individual.
He wasn't winning games. He just didn't want to lose. And that was the end of it. But like even someone like him, who's been around for so many years and like achieved so much across multiple teams, like even now it's ended up by getting kicked out of a.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that for Joe. Like he's such a nice guy. Clearly knows what he's doing. To go in, maybe not gel with a few individuals, back room or whatever, and then to just have your career end like that, you wouldn't want it for him. Like, so maybe that's where he's coming from. Oh, the interesting point there you made about coming back to Leinster, I never even considered that. But
I only consider it because maybe in a few years' time, Lancaster moves on. Maybe Leo Cullen takes another role, or these, and maybe he comes back. That's the only reason because he has friends and connections here.
Yeah,
so
we take him like in a heartbeat. Like.
Was Lancaster actually offered the England job, or was there talk that he could be?
There's constant talk about any job in England.
Yeah,
now that Lancaster,
Leicester, Bath.
Now that he's back and winning games, they want him back.
I appreciate the fact that he said he's laid out his stall. Like, fair play to him, because you know the way he was treated in the media and all that over there for the 2015 World Cup was shocking. You know, and to then go back running back to them, like that would say a lot. So his character, clearly his mind or whatever, is in the right place.
Definitely happy enough for next short time at least.
I suppose just kind of interesting there the way we're kind of looking forward, I suppose. So we've got a whole year now, 2019, with the World Cup obviously, so it's a big year for everyone involved. What are our kind of predictions at this stage? Like, what are we thinking for Ireland and
Six
Leinster
Nations
in general?
The
like,
top 2 finish.
Yeah.
Like, I think Wales might actually win it this year. But I think
that Ireland-Wales game is last.
Yeah.
Like, that could be
spicy.
That could be
like 10 years ago for the Grand Slam.
Spicy.
I
like it.
Some hell of a game.
Or it could end up like England just stomping through the teams. But yeah, that's my expectation. Maybe get 1 or 2 more players into the squad.
I don't know what it is about Wales, but the other 5 teams in the Six Nations, if we lose to them, other 4 teams, if we lose to them, I'm like, I don't like it. But if Wales beat us, it's like a personal thing. I don't know. Is it that they've beaten us under circumstances, like controversial circumstances, a few times, and I just feel like, I don't know.
For a lot of the time under Gatland, they played very ugly rugby. They're better now the last few years, but he also likes throwing bombs into the mix himself. Gatland has thrown a few verbal jabs.
And I think a huge thing is their club teams are generally, we don't view them as a threat at all, and then suddenly the same players are able to turn it on and become world beaters against us.
I suppose it's a bit of a kick in the teeth when you're losing to Alex Goldberg. No offense to the guy. He's a great lad.
We should write a list of all the players we insult. I think we'll be running out of paper soon enough. For the World Cup itself, like if we lose in the quarter final against New Zealand or South Africa, and they just play well and we play well and they play better, like it's unfortunate it's another quarter final. exit. But I'd be very disappointed if we don't get out of the group. That'd be hideous. I don't know how that would
Don't
happen.
we have the easiest group, don't we? Japan,
Yeah.
Scotland.
Japan, Scotland, Samoa, and I think it's Russia. Yeah.
Canada?
No, it's Russia.
Russia.
It's an incredibly,
So-
just looking from the outside in, it looks incredibly easy, but I mean, there's always a
I
banana
don't see
skin.
that happening, barring like.
Scotland and Japan could do a number on us, potentially. Like, it's such an
I can see
outside.
one of them beating us, maybe, but two of them, and them winning the rest of their games to keep us out.
Japan could do a South Africa on us.
Japan will be targeting that Scotland game and possibly us as well.
Yeah.
Like really, really focused.
I feel they might target one
Yeah,
and not the other, not both necessarily.
Scotland over us.
Yeah.
Maybe they're gonna mind games and say they expect us to do that, so we're actually gonna target Ireland.
Do we know what the permutations for semi-final would be, or is it still up in the air? I know if we don't get New Zealand in the quarters, we can't meet them till the final.
Yeah. So I assume then it's England, France, or Australia, Wales. So it looks like England, France getting out of their pool, Australia, Wales getting out of their pool, New Zealand, South Africa out of their pool, and then Ireland, Scotland. And the great thing is we've beaten all these teams in the last 12 months or whatever. Even
That would be the best outcome for me. Would be New Zealand, Ireland final, and us to win. That would just be like dream
I
stuff.
think getting to a final will be achievements.
If we get to the final and lose, I'll be pretty salty, I have to say.
Yeah.
Like, because I've never experienced that. Because I'm like, if we get to the final, it would be sort of like England's last World Cup run. The more they kept going, the more I started buying into the hype. Like, if Ireland rugby made it to the final, I'd be absolutely, we've got this. We're definitely going to win. And then just, I can't even imagine it.
I definitely think we've learned from last World Cup in that we've so much depth in every position. I think that's a big thing that let us down last year. Like, okay, you lose 4 or 5 players. New Zealand look bad in one game if you lose 4 or 5 from one to the next. But now we've 2 or 3 players
in every position.
Like obviously it's a drop off from Sexton and Murray.
I always bring it up, and I'll bring it up again, but I feel scrum half and hooker, 2 very important positions, are positions where I wouldn't be particularly confident.
Yeah.
You know,
Best is the people behind Best are all pretty much the same level, so like it's not a major issue if we lose Best. Like, it's definitely an issue because of leadership and his
work on the ground is great,
and his line-out generally is very good these days. But like, okay, everyone's a drop down from Murray, but I trust one of Cooney, McGrath, or Marmion, or maybe even someone else to.
I don't know. Of all the positions, I just feel those 2 are what feels to me the biggest step down from the first choice to all the other lads who are thereabouts as the second choice, you know. But you're looking at it in a vacuum there. Like, you say, if Ireland lose a hooker, or if Ireland loses a scrum half, look at all the other teams. If they lose whatever, like a centre, a pivotal position for them, where they only have like minimum depth, and you know, obviously for New Zealand it's probably not a big issue, but other teams like England, South Africa, they could have those bogey positions, bit like us, where
it's just, we can't control what happens with injuries. We just have to give as much people.
I'm still bitter about that French match where we lost all those lads, and going into Argentina. Then, you know, I had high hopes for that campaign. Like,
it looks like, looking at the pools now, it looks like it's going to be a very interesting competition. Like, England, France, Argentina are all in the same pool. Australia, Wales, Fiji, and Georgia are in the same pool, so that's going to be like Fiji and Georgia will fancy their chances against Wales. Like,
who else are in the England Argentina pool?
USA and Tonga. So
I feel bad for USA there.
Tonga did get the win against France in 2011, and France still made it to the final somehow.
They lost 2 games.
Yeah. So they're not easy games either.
US are up and coming.
They're playing better than they have.
They're the sleeping giant of rugby. Everyone,
as we said last century or so.
Everyone talks if they could just tap into all those.
Well, that's why I'm disappointed to see them in that group, because I feel if they were in if they're in our group or an equivalent, like, they got a horrible group there. You know, they could have potentially drummed up a bit of interest by maybe having a bit of success. You know, a lucky match here and there, and they could have been progressing. Isn't there hooker Taufetinua or something?
He scored a try against us.
He scored an incredible amount of tries.
Yeah.
For hookers.
Did you watch the Squidge rugby video? The main takeaway from that for me was this Taufetinua guy seems like an absolute unit. Leinster could do with him. Bring in Taufetinua. I could get behind it. The new Isa. We can have it like this hybrid role of 12/hooker. Play him at 12, you do a job. What was this? He was like the highest, second highest try scorers for a hooker, and he's only got like 20 caps compared to the highest try scorer who had like 100 caps.
He would, I think, it would be highest. Or Sean Fitzpatrick, both are higher than closer to 100 than anything else.
But yeah, Jesus, it's not really a position you score many tries from, but he's everywhere. Like, is he a convert from NFL, was he saying?
Football, I think, more than NFL. He started playing when he was a teenager or in college.
If they could just get more converts and like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, as you say, the sleeping giant for the last 100 years, but when's it going to happen?
Well,
you know, I want to see it happen.
They seem to be going better with their league. They have a solid league now where they actually can play professional, semi-professional teams constantly. So they keep getting that going. Like Seattle won't sell out their crowd, so like it's not a massive stadium, but that's what you need to do. You just need to go from the grassroots up. I think they've been just working on Team USA and sevens for the last few decades. Not really working too well, but I think if just get more and more people playing, it'll take decades to do. But
yeah, I think the huge problem that they have is just the sheer size of the country.
Yeah.
Like it's grand for us. We have the 4 provinces, and generally all the matches are on TV. But if you're the USA coach, how are you supposed to pick your best 15 when you can't even see them week to week, and even gathering them all in the same place? Like logistically, it's probably just it's a different kettle of fish, like as well.
So that's why I think this league will help. Where you're picking from like 6 teams or so, and they're constantly playing each other, so you'll have more cohesion.
Yeah,
in that manner.
You could always use the video analysis. Have someone film each of the games and base your
which helps
squad
if every
selection.
game is on whatever TV.
No, I'm saying you send people there in person to film it on your behalf, like, you know.
Is that our wrap up? With the wrap up done?
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll leave it there. Some interesting points. We're looking forward to another. It's going to be a pretty big year in rugby next year. Hopefully Ireland can make it a very special one again.
Yeah, anything less than the last year now, and I'll be up in arms. I'll be outside Dáil Éireann. Bring back last year, God damn it.
Yeah. All right. Cool.